Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm still here. Okay, it's not coming up. Okay. I sent you the text twice, so right. Yeah, just click on that.
Oh, there you go. Mike, can you hear me?
Okay, hang on. Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
You guys you can hear me okay? Disconnected. Jackie, can you hear me okay? Okay. Can you hear me? Hello? Jackie. Honey, if you did I sent you the email that I sent the team? If you click on that link, is it something different?
No, it's the one I clicked.
It's the one that you're in now, right? Okay. Yeah, Britt. Jackie, I can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself maybe? Are you muted? Doesn't look like you're muted. Or maybe choose a different microphone. Hey, I see Sherry. Sherry, how are you? Can you hear me? Sherry, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me, huh? If you, if you. Say, can you hear me? Okay. So I'm gonna wait for a few more people to come on through. Trent should be on here in a few minutes. He said he was dealing with a customer service issue. Sherry, can you hear me? Who just got on the call at 630-832-2849?
I'm sorry, I had it muted. It's Sherry.
Oh, Sherry, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Sherry, what's your last name again?
Schwab.
Well, oh, Sherry, what's up? How you doing? How you doing?
Okay. I just calling you from a landline, so that's probably why you didn't recognize the number.
No, that's okay. How you doing? Where are you? Are you at your office, or you're at home, or where you at?
Yeah, I'm home. My home office. I had to take Casey in for a procedure this morning at the hospital, so we just got back. So I wanted to jump on this because I missed it last week. I looked at the email too late.
How's Gazer doing? Is he all right, or?
Yeah, he had to have a procedure done on his throat. They have to burn the ulcers off of the esophagus.
Oh, that stinks.
Yeah, but so he's recuperating, but he'll be fine. They got it all, and everything's good to go.
Okay, cool. Trent, what's up, man? Are you on here with us?
Sure. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, just to explain to people who are just joining us, this William Singer was allegedly the leader of this ring, and he operated out of Southern California.
Sherry, is that your TV in the background?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it off. It's the news. I'm going to mute it. Okay.
Right. Trent, let me know when you can hear us.
Hello, Carlos.
Yeah, Trent, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Good. How was the customer service this morning? Those are always fun. Huh?
Yeah, this one was kind of tough.
No.
Yeah, a guy actually died from a heart attack.
No.
He was on a Indiana Nat Gen, 3x4, and his fiance is trying to handle everything, and she's having a hard time. So they had to send in a bunch of forms to give me access so that I could help her with the claims and that. But it's going to be a pretty rough deal, I think.
No, man, I'm sorry to hear that. I fortunately have never had to deal with somebody. I had one client passed away, but the client was a Medicare client.
Right.
No, man,
I understand.
Sorry to hear that. But hey, man, I appreciate you giving us some time to talk to you and pick your brain and whatnot, man. So
sure.
I'll tell you again. I know we spoke a little yesterday, but Jordan's a good friend, and when I saw him, having 3 or 4 superstar agents, I reached out to him. I told him, hey, man, congratulations, and you think we'd be able to talk to Stanley? That's what appeared on the script. And he's like, he goes by Trent. Let me talk to him. Let me see if he's willing to do it. And graciously, you said okay. So we're here now, man. What I like to do, and sometimes in these interviews, is just ask you where you came from. How did you start your journey to becoming a health insurance agent? And what brought you here? Because everybody has different circumstances in their life that brings them to this position now. So can you tell us a little bit about your history?
Yeah, I was in the mortgage business for many years, back in the late 90s and the 2000s. I was actually now national sales director for Union Mortgage Corporation for a while, and then VP of operations for the home mortgage store until the mortgage industry kind of imploded on itself, back in the 2008 or so. So it was a pretty trying time. And then I went to work for a medical consulting practice. I was a practice management consultant. Went in and helped doctors set up their practices, that kind of thing, from a business standpoint. And I'd had my insurance license for many years. I got it back when I was in the mortgage business. I just got it just to have, in case something ever came up where it was something I might need. And I maintained it over the years. And I got offered a position with a Washington National a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And I took that job. Of course, we were a worksite benefit management company. We did a lot of what what on this side of the world we call ancillaries. On that side, it's supplement. A lot of group universal life plans, a lot of group whole life plans, term plans, accident protection, critical illness, short-term disability, those kind of things. And I was a state manager with them for a couple of years, and then went to work with U.S. Health Group. Did that for about a year and a couple of months. Wrote a little over $1 million and decided that I was probably in a snake den with a bunch of snakes in the grass, and decided to move on. And Jordan reached out to me, and I said, you know what, I like the idea of being my own man, being my own broker, being able to manage my time the way I see fit. And, I just kind of jumped in feet first and, went from there. So that's kind of my story, my preamble.
So two things. Some of the heavy hitters here at HST are do a lot of groups, and a lot of the successful people that have come to HST have been from, agencies like that, like Washington Mutual, that dealt with nothing but supplementary or ancillary products. And I think one of the key things was that they bring that maybe new agents may not have is the ability to walk into an employer and present themselves. Washington Mutual or Washington National agents know how to hunt for the big fish or hunt for big whales. Do you still do that? Do you still go out to walking and talking to businesses and trying to get them, group insurance, like your foot in the door is the group insurance, and then offering the ancillary stuff? Do you still do that stuff or not really?
Well, that's something that's definitely on my my plan of action, if you will. Right now, I've just been dealing a lot with individual markets, with a lot of referrals and just working leads. But that's definitely something that that I'm gonna transition into here probably in the next couple of months. When it starts getting a little bit warmer, people become a little bit more receptive to talking to you, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's the big thing. What people got to realize is that when you walk into a business, you're gonna encounter a gatekeeper. Okay. And getting around that gatekeeper is going to be the key. Getting to the guy that makes the decision, the guy or the gal that makes the decision, getting to them is going to be the important part. Just getting to them and actually speaking to them, you've already won half the battle. In other words, okay? Because if you can get past the gatekeeper, you're pretty well, you can set your sails and just go ahead and get the mindset that you're going to close the deal. But yeah, that's the tough thing. A lot of people have a hard time walking in, presenting themselves, because you got to remember, you've got about 15 seconds to make a first impression. Okay. And that 15 seconds that you walk in there, that's probably the most important part of the whole deal, because that's where you win or lose them. If you present yourself in a bad light right off the bat, then, they look at you and they go, I don't want to deal with this guy. I don't want to talk to him. There's no way, my boss certainly isn't going to want to talk to him. So that's the key. And, that's my recommendation to anyone is, learn how to get past the gatekeepers. And there's a lot of techniques to do that. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But, the best advice that I can give anybody is, hey, just be yourself. Walk in there like you know what you're doing. I know everyone's heard the term fake it till you make it. Well, that'll carry you so far, but you still have to be able to, to actually present yourself as a professional and, that you have some idea of what you're talking about. But yeah, that's definitely something that I'm going to be getting back into is cultivating groups, building groups again. And but here's the thing, what people don't realize about group enrollments and managing groups is it is very customer intensive. And a lot of customer service involved in it. There's a lot of maintenance that goes with it for a little bit of money, really. I mean, if you structure it right, you get the groups built right, then it can be a really good money maker over a period of time. But it takes a lot to maintain it. You really have to go out of your way to make sure that you're doing the right thing for your client, because, a lot of people can, you can take a hit with losing a client or two here and there on an individual basis. But when you start losing groups, that's where it really hits you, and it can hit you hard in the long run. So it's a very, it's a customer service oriented undertaking. So, you got to go into it with that mindset also. Now, it depends on who you talk to on this side of the world and HST and a lot of these guys that really, specialize in groups. They've got a little bit of a system, put in place where, they know how to manage it and know what they're doing. So the group business is not for the faint of heart. I mean, I would always recommend that, look, if you're gonna jump in the group pool of water, start small. Start with small groups and then work your way up to the big fish, because the bigger they get, the harder they are to maintain. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps any.
No, it definitely does help. I'm smiling because every time you say the word gatekeeper, have you ever watched the movie Ghostbusters, like the original one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And the lady's up with the two dogs, and they're like, she's like, "Are you the gatekeeper?" And the guy says,
right.
It's something like that. And he thinks about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and then, anyways, I crack up when I hear the word.
Right.
But
right.
So you brought something up about U.S. Health. Now,
mm-hmm.
I get a lot of people on the hub that are from U.S. Health. And
right.
One of my initial messages is like, if somebody is looking for a new home, we welcome you to HST. If not, it's okay. Just stick with us, right? But
right.
I would like to know personally, what is it about HST that attracted you, that brought you from them to us? I know you said that there might have been a lot of snakes in the grass, and that's not the environment that you wanted to be around. We can imagine that. We know how that feels probably. But what is it about us that brought you to us?
Well, everybody understands that there's an ethical code that you have to live by. Whether it's written or unwritten, we all have a standard that we want to maintain. And, the majority of people are trying to do it the right way and presenting the products in the way that they're, in the way they actually work. What you guys are going to see, especially if you're up against someone that is with, U.S. Health Group or U.S. Health Advisors, you got to understand that their plans are basically fixed indemnity plans. Right? Their core plan, what they call their premier choice plan, is basically a fixed indemnity plan. They don't sell it like that. They sell it like a max out of pocket plan. They sell it with this idea that it's a zero deductible plan with a max out of pocket. Now it's that max out of pocket's moved to $3,000 with the upgrade to Premier Med. But the thing about it is that they don't really explain what happens with a fixed indemnity plan. In other words, you have a fixed dollar amount for an individual benefit. It's a lot like our guarantee issue or our fixed benefit plans, United Health or Nat Gen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it has an upgrade component to it that will cover a major medical event. They can actually, in the middle of the plan, regardless of even if it's in the middle of a claim, if they're going to have a high dollar claim, a $15,000, $100,000 claim, they can simply upgrade their plan for Med. Once they reach a max out of pocket of $3,000, it pays 100%. The problem with that is that, well, now that you're going to upgrade, their premium's going to triple.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're paying $300 a month, their premium's going to go to about $900 a month. They can only stay on the plan for 6 months, and then they have to get off. And they have to go to an ACA plan, or they have to find a plan, somewhere else. Problem with that is now they have a pre-existing condition. So finding them a plan that will accept that pre-existing condition is almost impossible unless they can go to an ACA plan.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they obviously don't sell it that way. Because any sane person, if you explained it to them in those terms, they'd take a minute and pause and go, no, wait a minute. Is that a situation I really want to put myself in, especially if I'm 50 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I'm 50 years old and I have, a major event and I have to upgrade and my premium goes to $1,000. Now I'm 50 years old. I'm going to have a pre-existing condition, and I've got to find a plan that's going to cover me with that pre-existing condition. And I may be 51 by that time. So my rates are going to be even higher. It's just a matter of the way they present things, and the way that they do things. That just didn't sit right with me. I I tried to be, I was as ethical as possible, because you got to remember, people are going to hear what they want to hear.
Right.
No matter how distinctive you are in your explanation or how in depth you go into something, they hear what they want to hear. So, that's always important. When I'm training somebody, or I'm talking to somebody, one of the things that I make clear is that, look, you got to be precise in what you're telling them and say it in a way that they remember it, because they are going to take away from it what they get from it. And they're going to remember what they hear. When I was in the mortgage business, this is one of the things I used to tell everybody: look, never tell someone that you can get them a specific interest rate. Even if you say, look, I can get you 3.5% if you qualify. Well, no one hears that if you qualify.
3.5, right?
That's all they remember is 3.5. So when you get down to brass tacks and it's submitted, and the mortgage company comes back and says, well, with their credit, they'll get 4.3. You go back to your client and say, well, they came back and said, hey, I can get you 4.3. Well, you told me 3.5. Now you're baiting and switching me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing with insurance or anything you do. So, you got to remember that people hear what they want to hear. And, that was one of the things that I always had trouble with, and listening to some of those guys and the way that they sell the plans and the plans. I'm like, look, man, what you're telling them is absolutely not true. And number three, they're not going to remember, that little snippet that you gave them about this, in 6 months, when they have to upgrade and they find out their premiums going up 3 times. And, oh, by the way, I've got to get off this in 6 months. I got to go find more insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just that. And with those guys, even though we were 1099, they treated you like an hourly employee. In other words, they would want you to be in the office X amount of times a week. If you didn't do 100K in 13 weeks, then, they would cut your leads off and all kinds of crazy things. And, it was just a bunch of kids running around selling insurance. And, with HST, you can truly be you own your own business. I mean, look, nobody is holding your hand. Nobody's going to make you get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. No one's going to make you get up, take a shower, get dressed, and go down to your office in your living room and work all day long. No one's there to hold your hand and make you do that. You simply get out of it what you put into it. So, it's one of those things that, you've got to develop a strong work ethic, and you got to kind of stick to it, and you got to follow a routine. But you also have the freedom that, if you don't want to get up to 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, you don't have to. If you want to get up at 9 o'clock and then work to 10 o'clock at night because you have West Coast clients out in Utah or Nevada, Arizona, whatever the case may be, or California, wherever they are, then, you can do that.
That's the best part, man. I even though I work a ton, I'm always here in the office by 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I'll probably get out of here by 7:30, 8 o'clock most nights. I'm working a lot, but it doesn't feel like it because I can up and leave whenever I want, right? Like you said, nobody's looking over,
right.
Nobody's looking after what you're doing. But let me ask you now. So you brought out the products. When you speak to clients, what is at the forefront? How do you approach this? Do you lead with the indemnity? Do you lead with the ACA, or what's your strategy when you're talking to clients?
Look, there is you can't go into any client with a predisposition. Okay, you've got to listen to your client and tailor what you offer them to their needs. Okay. If you have somebody that's healthy and, doesn't really care, doesn't go to the doctor but once or twice a year, a Nat Gen 2,500K, 100% co-insurance with a Trio Med or some accident AME added to it, that's what they need. I mean, that's where I start. Now, if it's somebody with pre-existing conditions that I know they need coverage, I'm going to take them to a Lyra probably. I'm very anti-fixed indemnity. Okay. I'm not, you won't see me. I very rarely sell those plans. The only time that I would ever sell that plan is if someone asked me specifically for it, because, in my opinion, this is just me. Okay. And I don't want anyone to take this away from how they sell, their product, because remember, you've got to give your client what they want and what they need, not what you think they want or what you need, what they need. You gotta tailor it to what they're going to need and use. I mean, if they need a fixed indemnity plan, that's what you got to, that's what you got to present to them. If it's, like I said, if it's something that's pre-existing, then, a LIRA or, an IHC plan, they've got a good pre-existing component to some of their plans, their plus plans. I don't ever talk to anybody going into it knowing what I'm going to do, because here's the thing: you've got to listen to your potential client. If you're not listening to them, then they're going to know that. If they ask you a question and you zip by it but never go back and intending to answer it and never go back and answer it, you're not listening to them. If they're telling you that they go to the doctor 5 times a year and you're still trying to sell them a plan that has no co-payments for doctor visits, you're not listening to them. If, if they tell you, look, I've got, I go to the chiropractor, once a month, I need that coverage. If you're not listening to them, you're selling something that doesn't have chiropractic coverage, you're not listening to them. So you got to listen to your clients. You got to sell them what they need.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think that's kind of what sets, people apart is, your client always goes away knowing, hey, this guy listens to me. He's going to take care of me. I just got to tell him and talk to him, and he's going to figure out a way to make it work for me. Because you want them to, the next time someone talks about health insurance, you want them to look at it and go, hey, call my guy. Here's his number, or here's her number.
Mm-hmm.
And look, some people get away with it. Some people can just kind of jam something down somebody's throat and talk them into buying something that they may or may not need or not even understand what they're having, but they're not going to sell in the books. They'll stay until they try to use it. And if they use it for what they need it to and it doesn't do it, then they're going to bolt on you. So it does absolutely no good to sell someone something that they can't use or won't use.
So going back to the beginning, when you first started being an insurance agent,
mm-hmm.
Where did you get your first clients from? Were the leads fed to you? Was it something that was there some marketing campaign that you were doing, prospecting, anything?
Well, I started off when I went to work with Washington National. Washington National was a really big, we did a lot of stuff with municipalities, school systems, that kind of thing. So that clientele was pretty much built in. However, you had to get out and develop your own groups and that kind of thing, and that was a little bit different because you had to, you had to do the research. You had to go and find, the business, that weren't large enough to, to be able to do something different. I mean, there was a lot that went into it. But you had to do your research. You had to get out and walk and talk. Now, as far as US Health Group goes, it was just like anything else. I mean, it was sitting on VanillaSoft or CRM and taking the leads that they fed you every day and calling from 7 o'clock in the morning to whenever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we all know, the best way to make it in this business is to get to a point where you're working referrals,
mm-hmm.
or you're working from your own marketing campaign. So to answer that question, I don't think there is really one thing that, that you can do starting off that is any better than the other. My advice to anybody that's starting out is latch on to somebody that's really successful at this, that's been doing it for a while. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Find something that you're really good at and learn it and do it. The biggest mistake I see a lot of people make, and I call it paralysis of analysis, is they try to take a little bit of everything that everybody else is doing and try to make it work for them. Well, that never works because you're trying too many different things at once. You can't take a little bit of everything and try to make it all work. You got to find something, that one thing that works for you. Look, if you're really good at selling short-term plans through NatGen, stick to it. If you're really good at selling Occidental, then start, learn that, sell a lot of it, and then branch off into all this other stuff. I sold 3 products when I started. That's it, 3. I sold NatGen, 4 actually, NatGen, a few HII, Emeritus, and Alira. And that's it. That is all I did. I didn't sell anything else. I didn't try to sell anything else. I didn't try to do life insurance. I didn't try to do Manhattan Life. I didn't try to do any of those things. I just learned 3 strong things, because you need a good plan. You need something for pre-existing, and you need a good dental and vision outlet. And National General, they've got all the ancillary products that you need to add to those plans. A lot of people like Occidental and VBS, I guess, for accident.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's not bad, because they only do one thing really good. So you're not really learning a whole lot of stuff there. But that's my advice. Look, find 2 or 3 or 4 products, learn them, and just sell the heck out of it. And don't try to learn all this stuff, because there's too much of it. There's too many ways to contract, and there's too many different products. So, you get bogged down in trying to learn it all. Now, if you come across somebody that's wanting some whole life insurance, and that's a different story, then, you may have to pass it off to somebody, or go and find somebody to sell, that has a really good whole life plan that you can sell them. But, pick 2 or 3 things.
When I first started in this business, I obviously got my health and life license. And then I thought to myself, well, why can't I should just do it all. I should just go get my PNC as well, And then quickly I realized, man, I can't do that. I can't be the jack of all trades. I have to be like the expert at one. And then once I get that, then I can start branching off into the other stuff, So I started off on the under 65 stuff. Then I started getting into the group stuff, and now into the Medicare stuff, and that's where I'm at now. There's no way that I'd be able to learn the life insurance stuff, the whole life, the IULs, DULs, and property and casualty, home, auto, all that stuff. There's no way. It'd be impossible.
No, it's impossible. And even on this side, with all the different companies that we can be contracted with all the different things that everyone does, it's easy to fall in that trap. Well, I need to learn ACA. I need to learn, just regular short-term fixed indemnity, and then I need to do Medicare. And I need to do all that at one time. It's impossible. I mean, you will literally spend more time trying to learn all this stuff than you will actually making a living and selling something.
Yeah.
Remember, I mean, we're in this business to make a living, right? I mean, we're in this business to help people, but we also need to pay the bills. And you can't pay the bills if you're constantly sitting here and learn. It's something I told Jordan the other day. I said, every day I get an invite to a different training on a different day. Every day of the week, I could spend my whole day watching training, or being in some, no, but literally, and, depending on whose group, what team you're on, everybody has a little different way they do it. And everybody has, you could literally fill up every day with a training from one of these companies, that sends us out, or something inside your own group. All right. I mean, I don't, that stuff is good and you need it, but you don't need it until you do, if that makes sense.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't, there's no way that you can learn everything at one time. It's a process, and, you gotta figure out, 2 or 3 of the things that are most important to you, and then, or what you feel like you can really be good at, and get really good at that.
One of the things I say when in the new agent training is, just that, like, you can't learn everything, and don't expect to memorize the brochure. The only way you're really going to get good at this is by what's called practical knowledge, right? You're practicing whatever it is that you're doing, right? Like when you speak to doctors and they tell you their experience, and they said, everything I learned was in my 2 years of residency, when they're actually in the hospital taking care of patients, emergency room, things like that. That's where you learn everything. And that's where I tell someone like these new agents is that right now the focus is, we're going to learn a little bit, but the focus is trying to get people to talk to. right? Cutting your teeth on them, getting some new questions thrown at you, finding the answers to those questions, and getting better at what we do, with being a health insurance agent. I totally I get it.
Right.
So, I mean, Trent, you're new to HST, and you're obviously not new to the health insurance business, but 131 policies in your first month with HST, right? I know you alluded to that a lot of your business is maybe the referral business. Is that where everything came from? The 131 policies you sold in 4 months?
Oh, absolutely not.
So
I would say
tell
only
us,
about 20.
Where did the clients come from? What kind of marketing were you doing out there? What are you doing to generate new leads?
I was doing absolutely zero marketing.
That doesn't help.
I was buying leads. I'm sorry.
I said that doesn't help.
Well, and here's the point. It absolutely helps if you've got the resources to do that. You know, a lot of young agents and new agents come in don't really have the resources or the money to actually get out and do a whole lot of marketing other than social media. But the point I'm making with this is that you've got everything you need right there at HST. Now, for me, it's a little bit different because I'm with Compass Health and Joe Crevelo. We have Top Broker, and we have access to different kind of leads. But everything I did outside of those referrals were built on leads. Were built on leads that I was calling, texting, and emailing. And that's it. You know, every lead I got, I would call them. If I didn't get them, I would immediately send them a text message, and one that I've created myself, not some canned text or something like that, but one that I've created myself that introduces me to them. And you know, I would call them and text them until they told me to stop. You know, now I say that with a qualifier, in that when I reached about the 8th or 9th day of that particular lead, I just went on my way. You know, I might go back and visit it in a couple of weeks. Nice. But here's the thing: there's enough resources there, and there's enough leads, even some of these aged leads. You know, and I mean, look, you have to make a ton of calls on an aged lead to get them. I mean, you know, that's about a 1% kind of deal, but the sales are there. And if you're doing nothing else, I mean, look, if you're sitting at home 8 hours a day and you're reading Facebook, you're watching Fox News or whatever it is that you're doing, you know, it takes nothing to sit and text somebody. You know, it takes about, I don't know, 15 seconds. You know, I got to the point where I can do it in 15 or 20 seconds. But, you know, you text them, you call them again, you send a follow-up text, and you send another text after that. You might send them an email. But that's you know, that's what I've done. Now, since then, I went out and I've hired me a company that manages, you know, all my social media stuff. You know, they do my Facebook and they do my LinkedIn, and you know, send a newsletter out for me twice a month. You know, they make posts to my Facebook page. You know, they manage my contacts. You know, we have email campaigns. They built me a web page. You know, they've done all that stuff, and I would encourage anyone to do that, especially if you've got marketing money now. A good company like I use, I mean, it's $400 a month. You know,
what's the name of the
HST
company?
pays too. Outbound Engine, and if anybody's interested, I can give you the contact that I have. And you know, if you want to do something like that, if you tell them, you know, that I referred you, they'll waive like the review engine setup fees, because the review engine is really one of the reasons I did it, because they go out to about 70 different sites, including Google, including Yelp, all that, and they manage reviews for you. You know, you'll send a review request to your prior clients. They'll go in and, you know, click on a button, put a review up for you, and then this company takes and spreads it out about 70 different review sites across the internet. So if somebody Googles your name, then those reviews are what's going to show up. If they Google you, then they're going to be able to see that you're a legitimate salesperson, that you have legitimate clients. And, now obviously if you've got bad reviews, it's not going to do you any good, but,
right.
But if you're doing your job and you're doing it the way that you're supposed to, then you never have to worry about that. So that's very important to me, because I'm an old guy. I'm 54 years old. This social media stuff is all new to me. I have no idea how to. I'm sorry?
I said you got your whole life ahead of you, man.
Yeah. But, look, I just got to the point where, I don't have time to do those things. I mean, I don't really want to do them because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, this is probably this is the best money that I've probably spent as far as marketing goes. But, listen, everything I've done at this point, I've literally just done it through leads that, HST has provided me, or Compass has provided me, or leads that I buy on my own. I've been buying leads from Benepath for almost a year and a half now. And, I buy my own exclusive leads from them on the weekends. And this is something, and, this is probably the best advice that I can give anyone. Do not stop working on Friday afternoon. Saturday afternoons and Sundays can be your biggest days of the week. I would say 30% of all those sales I made came on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, wow. Wow. It makes
Sunday
sense. It makes sense, though, because, if most people are at home, right? Most people
right.
during the week, they're busy. It's just, life is
right.
just going 300 miles an hour, and they don't have time to talk to a salesperson over the phone, but on Sundays, everybody's relaxed. Weekends, maybe everybody's relaxed. Okay, now it's time to talk to somebody about insurance, right? That makes total sense.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I work 7 days a week, 7 days a week, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. I mean, I don't know that I've actually sat down and ate dinner with my family when they've ate in, I don't know, a couple, 2 or 3 months, probably. I mean, I've sat down before, and then in the middle of the meal, somebody will call me, from a text or something that that I just sent them, an hour ago. And there's particular times in the day that you guys got to realize to call people. Okay. On the East Coast, I'm Central Standard Time. So it's, at 8 o'clock here, it's 9 o'clock there. So at 7 o'clock here, it's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. So if you're a morning person, be up at 7 o'clock, call them at 8, between 8 and 9, that's when they'll answer the phone. Text them at lunchtime. Nobody wants to talk on the phone at lunchtime a lot of times because they're, they're trying to eat lunch, but text them at lunch. They'll get a text and they'll answer it. They'll answer a text while they're eating lunch. Mm-hmm. The bad times in the afternoon from about 12:30 to 2:30, you're not going to talk to anybody, because everybody's getting back from lunch, they're getting back to work, that kind of thing. But from about 2:30 to 8 o'clock at night, those are prime times, especially, around 5 o'clock in the afternoon when everybody's getting off work. And, some people will answer a text on their way home from work or give you a call while they're driving or whatever the case may be. So, there's strategic times to do these things. You just can't sit and beat the phone up all day long because you're wasting your time and you're burning through leads if you're calling people between, 9:30 and 11:30 or between 12:30 and 2:30 because nobody's going to answer it. You're just burning through a lead. So pick a strategic time. Saturday afternoons from about 1 to 4 are good times. And then Sunday, right after church, about 12:30, that's when I start. I'll start around 12:30. Now, if it's on the East Coast, I'll start 11 o'clock my time. And of course, if you have a lot of clients out west, then you gotta figure out the times. And that's the other thing when I talk about that. The more states you are in, the more chances you have of selling insurance. Okay, I'm in 24 states. I'm licensed in 24 states, and I market in 24 states. I buy leads in in 24 states. Now, there are some states that, you know, that are better than others. You know, Pennsylvania is not a very good state for us because of 3 months. You know, it's Illinois, if you're short term, that's not a good state. You know, Colorado's becoming that way. There are some states where we're just not competitive price wise because, you know, especially Nat Gen and now, you know, in Georgia and Texas, it's extremely, you know, our rates are really high. So you got to be strategic in what states you're in and, you know, what products you know you're going to market in those states because some work better than others.
Hey, is this Tamir? Hey, Tamir, it's
Hello?
Bradley Hannon. How are you?
Bradley, do us a favor. Mute your phone. Hold on. Oh, yeah, he just muted.
Oh, that's all right.
Sorry about that. So, hey, let me. Sorry, go ahead and finish what you're saying. I'm sorry.
No, that's you know, that's just it. I mean, you know, you're asking me about what I did, and you know, it's like we're talking yesterday, man. I just worked the phones. I worked the resources I had available to me.
Let me ask you some of the stuff I jotted down here. So one,
okay.
That resource for the social media stuff. If you could email me the contact info and whatever we can do to get you some credit, we'd love to do that. Okay, that's number one. Number two, when you say get more states, it struck a chord with me because when I was sitting in the new agent training for the very first time, one of the guys that did the new agent panel, his name was Matt Peebles, and one of the things he said was, you know, when I invested in myself, when I got 10 more states, it changed the whole game up, right? And that always resonated with me. And when I did it, you know, I probably had like $1,500 left in the bank from my savings. I'm like, okay, I gotta kick this thing off, and I spent the money, and I got more states, and it was the best thing I ever did. That my philosophy has always been, you know, if I'm going to try to catch fish, I need more ponds to fish in, right? Or I need more lines to put in the pond or the lake to catch more fish, you know. So that's definitely that's definitely great advice. I try to give that to my agents as well. If you can't afford it, get it because it just gives you more opportunities. Secondly, well, one of the other things with the leads that you get. Do you have a system as like an 8-day system? Maybe you call, email, text the first day, and then maybe not a call the second day, or just a text the second day. Do you have that set up? Do you follow something, or is it something that's already been inputted into Top Broker? Because I know they do that. Well,
yeah, Top Broker. I'll be honest. I'm not the hugest fan of Top Broker because it's real clunky, and you know, I'm a keep it simple kind of guy. I believe in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. So, when I get a lead and I call it and I don't get an answer, I may or may not leave a voicemail. It just depends on, you know, how I feel about it at the time. I'm an organic kind of guy. I mean, you know, everything I do is based on the situation or, you know, how I feel about it when I'm doing it. Okay. I know that that's kind of hard to understand, but, you know, as you do this, you'll get a feel for things. You know, you can listen to their voice on their voicemail sometimes and know, you know, kind of get an idea of the personality of the person that you're going to be talking to, those kind of things. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. So I may or may not leave a voicemail. If I don't, I'll turn right around and I'll shoot them a text message. You know, if it's in the middle of the day, sometimes I won't call them. If it's in the middle of the day, I won't call them. I'll just send them a text message, you know, saying, hey, this is Trent. You know, I was sent over your information from whatever lead company. You know, I'm licensed in your state, you know, something like that. I'm texting you from my cell phone so as not to bother you while you're at work, you know, something like that. You know, can I send you a quote or two? Or, you know, when's a good time for me to give you a call? Something like that, you know. And, you know, then in the evening, I'll call them. You know, if they answer, great. If they don't, then, you know, depending on the lead. Now, if it's a real-time lead or something like that, look, they're getting blown up because those leads are being shared with about 5 different agents. They could be 5 different HST agents. It could be, you know, because those leads are being sold 5-6 times. You know, you might have HST agents that are buying their own leads that are buying the same leads that the company's buying.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you they're going to U.S. Health Group agents. So they're getting blown up. I mean, they're probably getting, by the time you get it and by the time you call them, they've probably been called 7 times, 8 times in the first 5 minutes of that lead going out on the internet. Okay. So they're getting worn out. I mean, they're absolutely getting blown up. So if I don't get them the first time, I might wait a day and text them. I might wait another day, text them again, or I might wait 2 or 3 days, because you got to realize the first day that some of these leads are getting blown up, they are getting to the point where they want to throw their phone through the wall. I mean, they are that aggravated. They don't want to deal with it. I mean, they're frustrated. And it doesn't matter if you have the potential to be a good agent to them or not. They're frustrated. They don't want to talk to you. So you wait 3 or 4 days, and it starts slowing down. It starts dying down, and their attitude slowly starts to change, because then they realize, they go back to the idea, well, hey, I do need health insurance. So I'm going to have to talk to somebody at some point. So, you reach out to them the 4th or 5th or 6th day even. Now, if it's an exclusive lead that that's exclusive to you as far as in that context, now that doesn't mean that they haven't went on the internet and,
right.
That they're out there somewhere else and getting blown up again in some way. But if they're an exclusive lead to you, something that you bought through HST as a Benepath or Precise lead or Next Gen lead or something like that, then you have a good idea that you have the good possibility of being the only guy that's reached out to them or gal that's reached out to them that first day. So it's important to call them, and it's important to text them, and it's important to follow up the next day. Now, the day after, I leave them alone. I give them a day to rest with it, if you will.
Yeah.
And then the 4th day, I might give them a call. If they don't answer, then I'm going to shoot them a text. Email, there's some guys that will build up a quote and just send out blind quotes. I'm not that person, because, I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they have pre-existings. I don't know what they're looking for. I don't know their budget. If I'm guessing and I send them something that's way out of their budget range, they've dismissed me right off the bat because they can't afford it, even though there may be an alternative for them, even though I might have an alternative for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, that to me, that's not a good strategy to just send out blind quotes. Some people do it, and some people have gotten really good at it. I mean, it's easy if you've only got 1 or 2 plans that you can offer them. However, we've got, a whole buttload of plans that we can, we can sell them. So we have something for just about everybody, but you got to know what they're looking for in order to do it. Now, here's one thing that I've been, that's probably helped me as far as these sales of these internet leads and this is, look, if you get somebody to respond to you via text and they say, hey, send me a text or email, the very next question I'll ask them is, well, are you just looking for individual coverage with a blank date of birth? Or if I know they're looking for family coverage, I'll say, are you just looking for family coverage? And, I assume you're looking for family coverage. These are the DOBs I have. Are those correct? And if they say yes or whatever, then the next question I ask them is okay, thanks. Some policies offer a better rate based on health. Do you have any significant pre-existing conditions worth noting? Any significant pre-existing medical conditions worth noting? I'll always get an answer. Yes, no. Well, I've got high blood pressure, or I'm diabetic, or what. Well, right there, I know what I'm going to do with them. Because they're answering that key question. What is it? What are they looking for? If they have pre-existing conditions, and that's important, then I know I'm going to have to take them to someone that covers pre-existing. If they say no, I'm healthy, then I've got a whole bunch of things I can do with them. When they come back and answer that question, if they say no pre-existings, anything like that, then the next question I ask them is, okay, how soon are you needing coverage? Because again, that question kind of pins them down and lets me know that, they're not looking for something 3 months from now. Because if they're looking for something 3 months from now, they may or may not be your client. If they say, well, I need it ASAP, then hey, this is my client. And then the very next question I ask them is, I'll say, okay, thanks, last question. So I know where to begin, not waste any of your time. Is there a premium amount that you need to stay close to for your budget? 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get an answer. of something, or you'll get the old obligatory answer of, hey, I need it as cheap as possible. Well, that's an objection you have to overcome. So, you've got to coax that out of them. You got to say, well, listen, here's the thing. There's a broad range of rates that that's going to be available to you. It's a lot easier for me if I have an idea of what you feel like you can afford a month, because I can fit the coverage to meet your budget. Otherwise, I'm guessing, and I may be sending you something that's just not going to work for you. I'll always get an answer back. And when I get that answer back, if I come and they tell me that, their budget's $300 and I come back to them and I say, all right, I can get you something for $195 a month. How's that work? And they say, hey, that's awesome. The very next question I ask them, do you have time for a quick phone call?
I see.
Because you've got to get them on the phone. You can't sell them something over a text message, and you can't sell them something via email. I get this all the time. Well, we just send them an email. Well, you can't sell insurance via email. You've got to talk to them on the phone. So the minute you get them on the phone, you have them, and you got to have that mindset. Hey, I've got this. I'm going to sell this person this insurance today, right now, right here, as I'm sitting here talking on the phone.
So we have to be allergic to selling or sending email quotes to clients, even when we're talking to them via text message. The idea is to get them to bite or interact with you, and then ask them, hey, do you have time for a quick phone call? Right? That's the idea.
Exactly. Because you have to get them on the phone. Okay. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's going to be times where you talk to them and they say, well, I need to talk to my wife, I need to talk to my husband, or, I really, this is what I'm looking for, but I need to make sure that it fits in my budget. Hey, can you send me something, And, absolutely, I'll send them an email. As a matter of fact, generally while I'm talking to them, I've already got the email done. I've already sent it to them. And they say, oh, well, hey, can you send it to them? All I have to do is say, hey, just check your email box. I just sent it to you. And I'll always, after I send the email, I'll always send them a text. Hey, I just sent the email. My subject line should read Trent Maness Health Insurance Quotes. Please let me know if you have trouble receiving it. Also, please do not hesitate to give me a call or shoot me over a text, email anytime with any questions. But you have to get them on the phone. You can't sell insurance over text or an email. I can't stress that enough, man. You've got to get them on the phone. You've got to talk to them.
Can you give us an idea? I'm sorry. Can you give us an idea of how much you spend to get leads? What is your budget, or what do you spend a month or a week to get leads, or a day to get leads?
And this is the God's honest truth. When I started, I was fortunate enough that I didn't have a big learning curve. So I started calling immediately. That, and, I had clients, a few clients I brought with me. So I was fortunate enough that I started building lead money pretty quickly. And this will give you an idea. At one point last month, before the end of my 3 months, I had $4,300 in my lead budget that I had to spend.
Oh, wow.
I was going to lose it.
Wow.
And I probably spent just HST money through the months, probably $1,000. Now, my own physical money, I cut back on the leads that I bought myself because I was using HST money. And, I was spending, $300 to $400 a month, probably. Now, prior to that, I'd spend $700, $800 a month easily on leads. So, when you talk about lead money, man, that comes down to what you can afford to do, but it also comes down to what can you afford not to do.
Sure.
So, you got to invest in your own business to make it work for you. So
I have to get this quote. I always mention this quote from this book that they just gave us recently in Jamaica that said, I forget who said it, but it says the outcome of not doing something is worse than the outcome of doing something, So
correct.
You have to spend money. You have to invest in yourself, and you have to spend money on the marketing to generate leads, or go out there and buy leads from different vendors, like you said, Benepathers or NextGen or anybody else. It's
right.
almost one of the job descriptions of being self-employed insurance agents. I totally get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, but there, and I can't stress it. There's nothing that beats actually having a conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that you can't sell insurance without talking to them. I mean, it's just, you may get away with it every now and again, but they're not going to stay on your books very long because they don't really understand what they're getting. They don't understand how it works. I mean, and a Nat Gen, something like a Nat Gen, that pitch is really simple. I mean, it's one of those things where you say, listen, okay, here's the plan I found for you. Now, the good thing about this is it's going to be an Aetna PPO, which is one of the largest networks in the country. And to me, and this is what I always tell my clients, to me, that network is as important, if not more important than insurance itself. Okay. Because it all boils down to accessibility and what your out-of-pocket costs are going to be. You can have the best insurance plan in the world.
That's an excellent.
If it's in a crappy network, and if it's in a crappy network, it's crappy insurance. If your doctor, or you can't find a doctor that takes your insurance unless they're 100 miles away, you don't really have insurance. If you're in a network where their negotiated rate is so low that your out-of-pocket cost is going to be out of hand, exorbitant, you don't have a good plan. So chances are, with you being in this Aetna PPO, you're going to get a good negotiated rate. You're going to have extreme access to it, not just in your state, but wherever you go. If you go to Florida on vacation, you're covered. If you go, you go out west, chances are you're going to be covered.
That's a great way to put it, man. That's a great way to put it. And I never thought about it that way. So the insurance network is almost as good as the insurance itself for all those reasons.
Yeah,
that's excellent.
Yeah, and in some cases better. It's more important because, like I said, you can have just a decent plan, but if it's in a good network where you have a really good high negotiated rate with a provider, just what you get through your PPO or reduced rate or discount or contracted rate is better than some insurances that pay out. So, the network is important. Now, that's not synonymous across the board because some doctors are better at negotiating than others. Some are better at getting a lower negotiated rate than others. So it's still a strategic thing, but they don't know that. And remember, your client, you're the expert. Okay, that's why they're coming to you. They don't know a lot about insurance. They know enough to be dangerous, probably, if that at all. But when you explain it to folks in those terms, it works. And there's a reason I do that, because the next thing I talk about after I talk about the network is, okay, you're going to have a $2,500 deductible, and it's going to be 100% co-insurance. Why is that important? Because that means that once you reach your deductible, your insurance pays 100%. However, you do have a $50 copay for urgent care visits. And why is that important? Well, the reason that they're doing this, and I'll be honest with you, is because the insurance companies are trying to incentivize people to stop going to the emergency room for minor issues. Because if you go to the emergency room with flu symptoms, this costs you $300 just to walk through the door, because that's the second most expensive room in the hospital. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to incentivize folks to not do that. With a broken pinky, a stubbed toe, go to urgent care. Because if you go to urgent care, it's going to be a $50 copay, and then it's going to cover it 100% because your deductible's waived. So I would urge you to always use urgent care when you can. Now, if you decide that you want to go to your own doctor or need a wellness visit, that's going to be subject to deductible and co-insurance. However, if you go in network, Healthcare Blue Book tells us that the average doctor visit is about $120. Okay. So if your doctor is actually in this Aetna PPO and they've got a really good negotiated rate, the chances are of you spending about $60 to $70 out of your pocket is pretty darn good. So, I want you to understand that your insurance is still going to work for you before you meet your deductible. It's just going to be through the contracted rate. So you still have coverage. However, that money is going to go towards your deductible. And then once you reach your deductible, you've got 100%. And if I'm putting some kind of accident protection or critical illness, next thing I say is, look, accidents are going to cost you $250 out of your pocket. Critical illness, it's going to be covered, and your insurance is going to cover you at 100%. And that's it.
Is that all you say with the accident policies, is that accidents are just going to cost you $250? You don't get into how they work together this is going to cover the deductible, then the rest is covered by your medical plan? You don't get into that. You just tell them $250.
Not unless they ask specifically, because
okay.
Here's the thing. All right. Once you talk, the more you open yourself up to objections. The more you say and the more you do, the more you open yourself up to objections. Now, and this is something that, I kind of learned from Joe Cretlow, because I kind of did that for a while. I mean, that's the way I always saw it. I'd always say, hey, so you're going to have $5,000 worth of accident protection. That's going to cover you for any unintended consequence. That's going to cover the majority of your deductible, and then you'll just have to pay $250 out of your pocket. Well, when you say something like that, it kind of opens yourself up to them start coming up with specific scenarios now, and, somebody's going to ask you some off-the-wall question that you have no idea what the answer is.
Yeah, so I do this for a living.
Nobody does.
I do this for a living, and just hearing you explain it that way, I got confused a little bit, and I do it for a living. But no.
Exactly. So when you say, listen, if you have, accidents, it's going to cost you $250 out of your pocket. Critical illness, you're going to be covered 100%.
Like you said, KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. Right?
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's my whole pitch for a Nat Gen plan. I mean, that's it.
Trent, man, it's 12:03, man, and I don't want to take much more of your time. You already gave us an hour, and we totally appreciate it. But I wanted to ask if anybody, online, Sherry, Mike, Steve, Jackie, Freda, Sam, if you guys have any questions for Trent, let's take advantage of it now. Anybody? If not, I have one more question for you.
Yes, I have a question, Carlos.
Trent, this is Mike. Mike, Trent.
Hey, Mike. Sure, man.
Hey, Trent, how are you? Listen, this is
Good.
just a question in relation in general. Suppose if you have a customer who you have basic information like height, weight, and DOB, and you know that the guy has been probably had 4 or 5 calls already, and you gave him a basic quote. It could be either life insurance or just health, just across the board. Do you think that is a good idea to give him a quote via text, which I do has a text message marketing, but giving him an actual quote just to actually get attraction? Like, for example, putting him a company, let's just say the company is Aetna, just give an example. Is that a good idea, or that kind of deter away, just trying to get him to attract? Well, what do you think of that?
Here's the thing. A lot of people use those teasers, to get their attention. And it kind of goes back to this, people hear what they want to hear. So if you send them out a quote and you're off, say, you're off in what he can afford, or you're off because, you might not have had the date of birth right or something like that, or for any reason, and you come back and you're way off.
No, but this would be more related to more precise information, not just a guess, because obviously a guess is just any guess. If I have the DOB, height, and weight, it will be more towards what he's looking for. Say a lead, which and the guy was looking for $100,000, 10-year life insurance quote, for example, and you give him a quote in general, and you put NT, non-tobacco. You don't even know he smokes, but you gave him a quote based on that.
Right.
So that would be my question.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's absolutely, if you have a good idea of what they want, what they're looking for, absolutely. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of people have been successful with that. I mean, look, everything is situational. When I say that, it's all situational. The more information you have, obviously, the more precise you can be with the quote, and the more accurate you'll be with it. Okay. So absolutely, I don't, and look, you're going to find out the more you do it, if that works for you. If it works for you, man, keep doing it. Okay. If that works for you, keep doing it. Now in instance of health, and of like a life insurance, I would probably send them something along with the quote that says, hey, this is for a non-smoker, something like that. So you can qualify it a little bit, so that if they are a smoker and they come back and the rate's jacked up because it's rated up because they're a smoker, they're not going to be shocked out of their socks by it.
So to answer that question, let's just say you don't have an email address. Do you think it's appropriate sending like an illustration, not like a mini thing with maybe a link to a Dropbox or Google Drive? Do you think that's a good idea, where they can actually go online and actually see and have some of your basic information? They say, okay, you know what? I have some information. This guy is legit, or the real deal, whatever it is, Is that a
sure?
good thing?
Yeah, that's a good thing. But here's the thing, okay? You want them to call you, or you want them to pick up the phone. So with that text quote, say, hey, listen, I can get this is what I found for you. I think this is what I feel like this is what you're looking for. Do you have time for a quick phone call so that we can go over this in more depth? Okay. Because you got to understand, you send quotes and you send brochures to people, right? Well, you're assuming that they understand what the brochure is saying. Now, I can take this brochure. I can take 10 people, send that, Jim, or any brochure. I can take 10 people, line them up, give them all the brochure, and I guarantee you 10 out of 10 people will tell you something different about that plan.
Okay.
On the same subject, because they don't understand it. They don't really know what it's saying. I mean, they don't really understand these things. They don't understand the brochures because the way that they're worded, the way they put them out there. A lot of people, they hear short term, they see the word short term, all of a sudden they go, oh my God, I don't want that. That's not what I want. I don't want something short term, because they're thinking in their mind's eye that's a 3-month plan, where you've got them set up on a 12-month or 3 12-month plans. They have a 3-year plan there. So, you don't want to scare them away, and you don't want to give them so much information that they get paralysis of analysis. So, get them on the phone. I mean, make sure that if you send too much information, you turn them off.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
So send a little bit of information, almost like a little teaser, almost like a little hook, a little magnet. But at the end of it, you're always going to ask them, do you have time for a quick phone call, right?
Exactly.
Whatever we can do to try to get them to call us, or we get a chance to call them, is what needs to happen.
Okay.
Anybody else? Or Mike, you got more questions? Anybody? Because
I do have one last question. I know you mentioned text messaging and everything. In terms of, I'm seeing on the web, and a lot of agents, they're using text messaging to try to get more responses. So in your experience, text messaging has also come up to be a lot better based on what you've been doing compared to just a phone call?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it's a really weird phenomenon. Everybody's got into this text message and this social media stuff. And it's really taken the place of really verbally communicating these days. But you're going to find something, and this is something that you guys are going to figure out, is that if they're 29 and under, they're going to answer a text message. They're literally going to answer a text message. If I see someone that's young, I might not even call them. I may just send them a text message, because they're going to answer a text message. If they're 40 and above, it's going to be a phone call. However, what I've been finding out lately is that, even the older folks are responding more to text message than they are a phone call. Okay. It's just, because people feel like, if I can answer by text message, then I don't have to hang up on anybody. I can just not respond again, or something like that. So yeah, texting is, man, it's becoming the way of the world, I think.
One of the things I say in the training is text messaging is key, because, people don't want the pressure of talking to a salesman on the phone, but they can easily hide behind the keyboard, or, text somebody real quick and respond, so definitely text messaging is big time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So Trent, man, we totally appreciate all the info. We appreciate your time. As I tell all the people, well, the few people that we've interviewed, we're all going to become mini Trents, right? And we're all 131 policies in 4 months, man. If there's anything we can do for you, man, we're here. I have the philosophy that the more I give, the more I get in return. So I just feel like this is, you being here is karma. I think it's great. If you ever need anything from me, just let me know, man. We appreciate your time very much.
Well, I hope I've helped, and, I hope I didn't talk too much, because, I'm a better teacher than I am doer. So, I hope I didn't bore you guys to death or take away too much of your time, but I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me. And like I said, man, if anybody needs anything, if you feel like I can help, please reach out to me. But look, there are a lot of people here that know a heck of a lot more about this stuff than I do. I'm just.
But that's okay, because realizing that it means that we can get, there's an opportunity to get better, right? So
sure,
that hence the reason why you're here, right? So there's always somebody that does it better than us. And if we can, you know, pick the brains and take this opportunity to learn from somebody else, and that's what I'd love to do. That's what I search for. Yeah. Well, thanks,
awesome, man. Well, thanks.
I appreciate your help. Have a great rest of your day. And guys, if you guys want to talk about more specifically about what Trent had talked about or specific products, just email me and let's set up a time that we can talk. All right.
Yeah, and Carlos, I'll send you that stuff on Outbound Engine. You know, if anyone's interested, it's, you know, and don't do it solely. I mean, I don't know if I get anything from it or not. That's not at all why I would recommend this. It's just worked for me. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've been doing it 2 weeks, and I've already got 3 calls off of it.
That's awesome. You know, any little nugget we can take back, and if it's going to generate some leads, then why not? So if you got 3 leads from it,
sure,
you're paying $400 a month, and you've only been doing it 2 weeks. I'm sure if you sell 1 policy, you're going to get your money back, right? So.
Oh yeah. That's all you got to do is a couple of referrals or a couple of leads a week or a month, and it pays for itself. So.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your help once again.
Thanks, Trent. Thanks, Carlos.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Right.